Hey, scrappy people. Tracy Reed here today, coming at you with a layout using the Cocoa Daisy Quiet Meadow collection. This collection is very botanical, very floral inspired. So I have reached into my stash for these photos of my middle child in a field of wildflowers. I am lucky enough that my kid loves photography and his best friend loves photography, so they are always out modeling for me. Well, I'm not there, but they're modeling for themselves, and I get to reap the benefits of them having photos. So what I'm feeling for this layout is a very collagey style vibe. I don't know, just something about the photos with the collection really give me a sort of vintage vibe, sort of like, like a vintage collage. So I have all these photos, and I think I'm going to do like a divided page with this large photo. Unfortunately, they are all facing in the same direction, so I'm not quite sure if my designer brain is going to love having all of my photos facing in that direction. Maybe I'll figure out how to do it. I have this paper here from the classified memory keeping edition. It is one of the planner papers. I really love it for this page if I'm gonna go in that vintagey collage style vibe, but I also have this paper, which I think matches even better. Decisions. I cannot decide. I have so much going on here that I have pulled out for this page because I just love it so much. So yeah, this is going to be a video of indecision, I am sure. I hope you are buckled up and ready for the ride. Look at, I also have all of these tags that I cut out of one of the papers in the collection, plus the tags that came in the collection, because I was really feeling the vibe of the tags. There are all of these florals. Oh my gosh, I don't know. We're gonna figure this out together. I'm sure that my voiceover will make it make sense. So let's go. So I have an epiphany pretty quickly with this layout, and I decided to go for a high contrast vibe. He's wearing black and white, and the photos themselves are not very high contrast. The way that they chose to filter them are pretty low contrast, but I thought I would play up the black and white vibe with this more natural, crafty sort of paper. So I'm trimming down both of these black and white florals. The black floral is from the planner kit, so I was very lucky to have that because it definitely makes this layout. And I decided that I'm going to use this Traveler's Notebook size page from the Traveler's Notebook memory keeping kit as the divider for this page. So I'm going to end up trimming down the larger photo so that it is Traveler's Notebook size rather than the full 5 inches. That way I can use it as a divider. I really like the way that this brown sort of completes the brown from the other side of the page, but what I end up doing, it doesn't really matter. But that was my initial thought, was that I really like the way that those two went together. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to tear these papers into paper strips, and I'm going to sort of do a collage look. This is going to be very old school feeling. Like I said, I was really feeling the collage vibe of this page, so I felt like the torn paper strips would work. Now it does take me a few seconds, it took me a few minutes. It's a few seconds in the video since it sped up so fast, but it does take me a minute to really get the feel that I'm going for, especially on the right hand side. The left hand side came together pretty easily. I really liked the way that it, like the initial papers went down, it was perfect. But the right hand side, I was struggling a bit. Now initially I was thinking maybe I wouldn't use the white floral, but then I decided that it was really necessary and looked great with this whole page, if I can figure out how to get these paper strips down in a way that I like. So that's what we're doing here. I did want there to be brown in between the black and white. You can see down there on the bottom that there's sort of brown peeking through, and that was kind of what I was struggling with a little bit, I think, because you know that we always talk about trapped white space on our pages and how we don't want there to be any trapped white space that makes your page look awkward. So the brown sticking through was kind of vibing trapped white space for me, and I was struggling a little bit, but I did end up with something that I really liked. I am going to change things a little bit in the way that I end up covering up some of this collage. It doesn't, like, I got super picky because it's sometimes hard to envision the final product. So you hyper focus on what it looks like right now without really thinking about what it's going to look like in the end. So you can see that I'm adding some more of these paper strips, these torn paper strips, to this centerpiece so that it will match. But then I end up, and I'm going to take off the black one completely at the top, and then I end up covering this mostly up. You won't really see it, so it doesn't really make a difference, but it could, right? I didn't know what I was doing yet. It could have made a difference, but I do really love the way that this looks before I put anything on it. It's really gorgeous. I love the way, actually, this is probably one of my favorite layouts of all time. I love the way that the whole thing came out. So it works out. I liked it before it was done. I like it now. It's fun. It's pretty. I love it. And he likes it, so that's important. Okay, so now I've got this down. I'm going to trim it. Everything's looking good. I need to add in my holes just to make sure that I'm holding space for them. And I think I'm going to go with the whole collage look with the photos too. So they're going to be going off this edge of the pages. They're going to be tucked under the torn paper. I really want it to look more like the vibe of the collection is very botanical, which is very natural, right? Very free flowing in a way. So I want the whole thing to look that way. So this one is going to go down, hanging off the bottom of this. And I made sure that his jacket was fully on the page when I put it down because I didn't want to cut off any of that. But you know, there's a lot of open space in these photos because of the way that they're framed that I can cover up with some of these torn papers and these cards and things that I want to include. So I'm going to tuck this one here, and it's going to be going off the edge over there. Just want it to be right underneath here. Perfect. So you can see how much of the torn paper that I end up covering up on this layout. So it creates a nice bit of contrast in the background of the paper. Well, there's a lot more on this side because a lot less gets covered up, but it creates a nice bit of contrast in the background of the paper that could be very busy, but because these photos are not busy, right? They're mostly green. They're mostly a lot of open space. Because they sort of ground the whole layout, it doesn't look overly busy. So I really love this sentiment, but I didn't want to use the full 3x4 journal card, so I cut it into a tag shape. It's perfect for these photos. It says, what does it say? I chased summer and endless seas of wildflower meadows and warm memories. I mean, it couldn't be perfect. Couldn't be more perfect. So I wanted to include that as well as this authenticity because this child is nothing if not fully authentic to himself. He doesn't care what you think. He doesn't care if you don't love his photos in a wildflower field because he's a boy. He is fully authentic, and I absolutely adore that about him. So this card had to make an appearance. It's going to get torn up and go down here in the bottom. We're getting some more of that black and white contrast with that as well, which I really like. And then we're going to start embellishing this page. I still haven't figured out where I want this tag to be, but I don't want it to cover up too much of that photo over there, so we're going to put it over here instead. And I'm going to add a white tag in the background, again, for that black and white contrast. It is a little bit of a shame that I end up covering up so much of the brown craft floral in the back, but you still really get the feel for that layout with just peaks of it sticking out, or the feel for the vibe with just pieces of it sticking out. I think it looks really great. I like, seriously, this, I couldn't stop envisioning this layout, and it came together even better than I thought it would. Okay, so now is the time that we're going to start embellishing. I've got the basic foundation of this layout done, so we can start adding things to it. I decide that I want to use all of these little banner pieces that came in the die cuts, and I'm going to create a banner up the side. Now when I do this, I decide that I like that banner more than I like this paper strip, and this paper strip is detracting from the banner, so I'm going to pull it up and off. I'm going to get rid of all of that adhesive. And then I'm going to use that space for a sort of title instead. Not this one. This one's going to go down in the corner. But I'm going to use rub-ons for my title. There's a lot of words on this page, but it still seems to work out pretty well and not feel too cluttered, because I think because we've got that collage vibe going on, it's like it's supposed to be busy, right? There's so much going on that it's okay to just keep adding and adding and adding. Speaking of adding, let's add in some actual wildflowers. So I want to frame this authenticity card, and I also want to add in a couple more flowers to the other side as well. So I'm just going to put those down, and then I'm going to, oh, I wanted to use these summer letters so bad, but I could not make them work on this page without covering up. Like they basically could only work on the photos. So I would have to put it on this big photo, and then they sort of disappeared with all that white. So, oh well, I'm gonna use this Love This Photo vellum heart in 2 different places. I got a ton of them because they came in both memory keeping kits and I think in the classified memory keeping collection. So I got like three different sets, and I'm pretty sure there's 2 of each in each set. So I got 6 of these hearts. So I'm gonna use this Love This Photo in 2 different places. I like the repetition of it. I like the way that the hearts look ghosting on these photos, especially with like the sort of ghosted image on the other side. This side, it kind of really fits. And I want this picture perfect as well. I don't know where I want it, but I do want it. It's gonna go here. And then I've got, we were talking about trapped white space earlier. So that corner between the 2 word bits was bugging me. So we're gonna put a butterfly there. It looks like he's looking up at the butterfly, which is kind of cute. And then after I get that down, I'm going to add to the last page another floral and another little buggy. We're going to go with a dragonfly instead this time. Perfect. I wanted there to be a tab to flip this page. I just like the way that it looked more than anything else. Then we've got 2 or 3 different rub-ons here to make this title. The stories was its own, and then Among the Wildflowers was its own, and then I used some of these rub-on stems coming up out of the banner. I really like the way that that looked. Can't go wrong with even more flowers on this page, but we're getting close to done. I want to add something to the bottom of this main photo, or this large photo, because I felt like it looked undecorated in a way. Like I didn't want to add too much to it because I felt that I didn't want to detract from it, but I felt like it needed maybe a little bit of anchoring down at the bottom. So we're going to have Enjoy the Summer and another little floral. Perfect. The last thing I need to do is add in a couple of word bits on the tabs. I had to trim these down so that they would fit. But this one, the front one says Memories. The second one says Sunshine. Just cut off all the excess white so that they would fit on there. And you can see I'm so trying to work in these summer letters, but it's not going to work. I just wanted to show you how they disappear. Oh well. But that is it for this video. If you enjoyed it, I'd love it if you give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, go ahead and subscribe. I would love to have you. If you don't already, you can follow me over on Instagram. I'm at Tracy M. Reed. I'd love to see you over there as well. There's a link to Coco Daisy in the description box below. Oh, you can see I'm showing my son his layout. All right. I will see you next time. All right. Thank you.